Welcome back, my Duelist friends. Casual Duelist here. I know I started with it on the mat today. I'm trying something different. It is just something new. So I do hope that you guys have been enjoying the content as of late. Again, we did get this voted that each Earthbound Immortal would get their own deck. Today, as you can tell, we're going to be going over the Earthbound Immortal Uru. We do have an extra deck. This is a huge key, just in case you guys didn't actually just read the full title. Obviously, we're going to be playing with Lair of Darkness. But before we get into that, I also wanted to say that this deck wasn't just a Lair of, or just like an Uru version of it. I also wanted to incorporate all of the Ladies of Lament into this build. Again, currently there should be 4 of them in the game. It's Alice, Malice, Lilith, and Loris. And it's kind of a fun build, so I hope that you guys enjoy this. Let's get into it. So first off, it is a 41 card main deck, and again, we can take this down to 40 if you want. In this deck, Uru is actually highly searchable, and this is the card that you can drop down to 1 if you want, or you could just continue playing it at 2. Like every other Earthbound Immortal, there can only be 1 on the field at a time. If there's no face of field spell somewhere on the field, then it gets destroyed. The opponent cannot select it for attacks. This card can attack the opponent directly. Its main effect here, once per turn, you contribute a monster except this card to select and take control of an opponent's face-up monster until the end phase. Now, this is going to be amazing because what we can really do, because of this being a Lair of Darkness deck, is we contribute an opponent's monster to get an opponent's monster. So again, we can kind of just peel away the layers of their side of the field just because of Lair of Darkness and the way that it's going to work. And then we need to get into the rest of the main deck. So we will be utilizing 3 copies of Arima. And as you guys remember, Arima has 2 effects. The first, we discard it to add the Lair of Darkness from the deck to the hand. Again, we need a field spell in order to play an Earthbound Immortal. Or the secondary effect, while it's on the field as a monster card, we may tribute a dark monster to draw 1 card. However, if the card we tributed was not this card, then we may instead add 1 dark monster with 2,000 or more defense from our deck to the hand instead, using each of these, or using the secondary effect, only once per turn. And again, Uru being 3,000 by 3,000, this means that we can go ahead and find our big bad dark bug almost anytime we want. We can also help find the next card in the deck. The next card being Alice, Lady of Lament, running 2 copies today. When this is normal summoned, we may target 1 Lady of Lament in our discard pile and special summon that card back. We may use each of the following effects once per turn. You can banish 1 trap from your hand or graveyard, special summon this card from the hand. If this card was tributed, or it is in its or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can go ahead and add 1 Fiend monster whose combined attack and defense equal 2,000 from the deck to the hand with a different name. And again, this is actually going to fit into their whole archetype. The Ladies of Lament are all a combination of 3-star Dark Fiends that stats added equal 2k. And again, we went to 2 on this, mostly due to the Arima effect. And then again, it's also good because you can start setting up links or other plays if you want mid to late game based on the special summoning effect. Next up, the one that you guys probably thought was going to be next up a card ago, 3 copies Duke Shade. And again, if you like the ratios of everything else in this deck, you could drop this to 2, as it again is still searchable through Arima. And we contribute any number of dark monsters to special summon this. So realistically, we're going to use it like a kaiju. Tribute 1 monster that the opponent controls because we have the Lair of Darkness. And we're going to board it. If this card is normally special summoned, you may target a level 5 or higher dark monster in the graveyard and add that card to your hand. So again, Uru being at 1 or 2, depending on how you guys want to format. If you guys are interested in going back down to 40 cards, Duke Shade could help you recycle Uru this way. You can use each effect once per turn. You may not special summon monsters the turn you activate either of these effects except Dark. And that's pretty fair, right? Next up, we need to talk about Lilith. still boarding her at 3. When is normal summoned, the original attack becomes 1,000. As a quick effect, we may tribute a dark monster, in other words, we're going to tribute our opponent's monster, to reveal 3 normal traps from our deck, the opponent randomly selecting one of them to be set to our side of the field, the remainder getting shuffled back to the deck. This effect is once per turn. Obviously, if you summon more than one through or normal summoning, they will all go down to 1,000. And again, with Alice's Resurrection, we can go ahead and actually pull back Lilith at 2K. So that's actually nice. We're going to play 2 copies of the newest one. We're going to be playing 2 copies of Loris, Lady of Lament. You can target 3 or 6 normal traps that are either banished or in the graveyard. Place them on the bottom of the deck in any order. Then draw 1 card for every 3 cards placed. So again, the way like Pot of Extravagance and Prosperity wants a 3 or a 6, Loris is going to continue this modern trend with her effect. The remainder of this effect, draw cards, yes. If another monster or monsters is tributed, or if a normal trap or traps is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, except during damage step, you may target 1 normal trap card in the graveyard, set that card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Now, guys, this is the effect. Okay, if you guys have a better way of supporting her, go ahead and bump her to 3. So maybe drop 1 Uru, drop 1 Duke Shade, add a 3rd Loris. If you just want to continually bounce traps at your opponent. And again, it is a very disgusting way to just do some really nasty things to the opponent. And then last up, I've got 3 copies of Malice, the Lady of Lament. Quick effect, you can tribute 2 monsters, target 1 of your normal traps that is banished or in the graveyard, set the card, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. Now, the way that we're going to use this is we're going to tribute 1 on our opponent's side of the field and 1 on ours. Again, you guys might drop Malice down to... you guys could even drop Malice down to 1 to add a 3rd Loris and maintain the Duke Shades and Urus if you guys like. So I wanted this to be as like almost as cookie cutter as possible so that you guys can make some better decisions moving forward. And that is the monster count for this deck. No hand traps, no nothing. Real quick, pause, take your notes, or make that screenshot, and I'll be right back with some spell traps. And to lead off our spells, this time we will be using 3 copies of the Allure of Darkness. Draw 2, banish 1 dark. If you're unable, drop your hand to the discard pile. Again, we just want to pick cards and get into what we want. Again, some basic stuff. You're going to need a Feather Duster because, you know, protecting the Earthbound Immortals should be your priority. Triple Lair of Darkness. Again, this monster of a card is just going to be great for us. Terrible for the opponent. Great for us. And again, let's just go over all the effects here, right? So all face-up monsters on the field are now dark. Once per turn, if I would tribute a monster card to activate a card effect, I may tribute a dark monster the opponent controls, even though I don't control it. Once per turn during the end phase, special summon a number of torment tokens to the turn player's field equal to the number of monsters tributed this turn while this card was face up. Now it does say up to, so what does that mean? It means if I have 3 monsters on my side of the field, nothing in the extra zone, regardless of how many got tributed, I can only add up to 2 because I can't summon a token to the extra zone. Additionally, conversely, let's say it was 3 with one of them being in the extra zone, and I did 4. You could choose to do only 3. You could choose to summon only 1 token. Let's see who it says. During the end phase, special summon as many tokens to the turn players. Well, it's as possible. So again, you can't choose. So I misspoke. If I do only have like 2 of my zones full and there were 4, I am forced to fill up the other 3 zones. So no, got to read the card. I keep telling other people that. I got to do it too. Single copy Monster Reborn. Because of the way this deck operates, I'm only going to run 2 Gekis. Again, just kind of amazing when you could just say destroy all cards, destroy all monster cards. Just do it. Real quick, Lair of Darkness is at 3. Everything's dark. Super Poly to 3 because of that Starving Venom Fusion Dragon you guys saw. And, of course, a copy of Terraforming. I'd rather not use Arima to grab the Lair of Darkness if it's not 100% needed. Again, with Super Polymerization in the deck, easily I could drop the dead Terraforming after the fact, or I could drop other cards into the discard pile, knowing that I can get them back. Like I could discard the Uru, and then play the Duke Shade afterward, and then know for a fact I can still grab Uru back from the discard pile that way. Moving into the traps, again, this deck wants normal traps, guys. Run 2 Crush cards. Run 2 Decked Heavies. Now, what these are going to do is the Crush card is only going to work for the 1 turn. You want a monster that is Dark 1000 or less. And, you know, your opponent might start something like Marincess Loop with a very small card. Stop the loop. Interact during their turn. The Lair of Darkness will let you do that. It'll also let you attack any big cards in their hand at the time. The only off-putting thing about the way Crush card works these days is that some decks actually work better if they have monsters that are 1500 or more from their deck to the graveyard, and the opponent gets the option to blow up 3. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because Dark World's getting a new structure deck next month, and Dark World plus Grapha equals they want something. They want Grapha in the graveyard so they can summon something and bounce it back to get them to the field. It's just a quick 8 for them, and you know the Crush card is a good way for them to do this, but it doesn't mean that they have to. The Deck Devastation Virus, a little different. It has to be 2K or higher, so when your opponent's really coming at you, you want to rip into the Deck Devi. Again, tribute their monster if possible. And this one will go after the monsters 1500 and lower. So 1500 and higher, 1500 and lower to destroy, 1000 or less, 2000 or more to activate. Next up, I am running 2 copies of the Eradicator Epidemic because, again, we can just keep running viruses all day. And this will allow us to, again, tribute a dark monster. This time it has to be 2500 or more. But for the 2500 or more, we can eliminate spells or traps for 3 turns, including everything the opponent has set in hand and for the next 3 draws. Again, the only one that's not going to go for the next 3 draws is the Crush card. And then last up, I want you guys to try running 3 copies of the Grinning Grave Virus. And again, I wasn't a big fan of this one at first, but right now I am, because this one is going to be like universal virus against your opponent. So tribute a dark monster with 3000 or less attack. Okay, remembering that if it's 3000 or more, that's fine. These other 2 viruses, Devastation and Eradicator, are going to work. But if we do this, then the opponent destroys 1 card of their choice in the hand or deck for every 500 attack value that monster had on field. So again, if it's a 3K, that's 6 cards that they have to destroy. And again, you got to watch out. Some cards get effects when they're destroyed, and this will be a great way for them to do that. If you tributed a monster with 2K or higher attack to activate this, look at all cards your opponent draws until the end of their 3rd turn after this, destroying all monsters that are drawn in between then and now. Cards destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this card's effects cannot activate their effects that same turn. So again, a lot of the cards that have that destroy effect, it's one of those things, like I never read this trap well enough back in the day, like when this deck was released. And I kind of missed that part. So I always shied away from it. I was like, oh, well, if I do that in this, then, you know, this deck can go off of a combo. And I literally set him up. But no, what goes to the graveyard stays the graveyard for that turn based on this virus. So again, it's just a good like additional card. Plus, again, when you're talking about tributing the opponent's monsters, it's fine. We're just going to get some cards out of their hand or deck. They're probably going to choose deck. And then we got the other viruses to go after the hand. But again, if you don't have any monsters, it's insanely hard to play. So this is the 41 card deck. Again, Duke Shade could come out. A Malice could come out. You guys make the decision. Uru could come out and go down to 1 because it is searchable. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed the main deck. Give me another second. Let me get you guys that extra deck. All right, just real quick, guys. Let's breeze this. So you guys know why we're playing the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. It's any 2 darks, plus it gains other effects if the opponent still has a monster that was special summoned. We can go ahead, we can add extra attack power, we can take the name, the effect of the card, and of course when this fusion monster card is destroyed after being fusion summoned, we can destroy all special summon cards the opponent controls. So again, very versatile threat, very high level. As far as our Xyz, we are going to rock the single Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. And to play from it, I have an Exciton Knight and I have a Tornado Dragon. Even though we can play the Utopia, it's not consistent enough for me to even feel like the space is there for it, especially when the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is a way stronger play in this instance than playing for the Utopia. So just in case you're curious why I went with these 3 instead, that's why. Plus, I was already at 41 cards. I didn't want to get too crazy. Then for our links, we've got Apollosa. We've got Beat Cop, because again, we're going to be making everything dark. Beat Cop, I want to start using this a little more often when I can. And we can give something some semi-impermanence. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Again, we can use Uru in this aspect. Taking a quick check. Everything else should be 4s and 3s. And it is. However, with Uru's effect, being able to draw out our opponent's monsters to our side of the field, it is a much better way to play the Blackluster Soldier. And again, there might be some of you that want to tech in Darkest Diablos. So I would definitely suggest doing that if that's what you want. And again, Darkest Diablos would totally be searchable off of Arima, while allowing you to set up for the additional effects of the Blackluster Soldier. Then you got your Boral Sword, and the rest is all cake. It's IP, Cerberus, Phoenix, Unicorn, and of course, my Underworld Goddess. This much is not going to change. For the most part, I'm always going to have like these 8 now. But again, this is the deck. I do hope that you guys enjoyed it. It's going to be the weekend tomorrow, so that's exciting. I do hope that you guys like this. If you have enjoyed it, consider supporting us. And it's as easy as a like and a comment. 2 very, very short things to do during the course of a day. But I promise you, it means the world. Additionally, you guys might choose to subscribe, hit the notification bell. This way you're always up to date on our newest content as it's coming out. And maybe share it with your friends. But I have absolutely one thing that you have to do for me today. And that is, I want you guys to make an effort to do something for yourself today. I don't care if it's that walk that you've been telling yourself you want to go on. I don't care if it's that drive that you've been wanting to do. I don't care if it's just listening to some music. Seriously, schedule the time. Get yourself to that spot where you can do the thing that you want to do so that you can bring that joy into your life, because nobody else is responsible for it but you. Hopefully I help add some of it, but you gotta do your bit. You gotta try, and you gotta focus in on that good day, and you gotta go for it. All right, you're worth it. You hear me? You are worth it. I do hope that you have that great day. I hope to see you guys again next time. Later.